Hi, and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Adele Forbes from West Yorkshire Money, award-winning West Yorkshire Money. And I wanted to get Adele onto the podcast. She's very straight-talking business owner, very straight-talking mortgage broker, direct mortgage broker. And yeah, I wanted to get Adele onto the podcast. I had a conversation with Adele. We're trying to work it out about 12 months ago, 18 months ago, just talking about the industry and various things as well within the industry and support and along with other stuff. And it was clear that I wanted to get Adele onto the podcast just to really get that straight talking, very motivational, very direct individual onto podcast, talk about her journey from being an underwriter. She's been 25 years in the industry now, starting out as an underwriter, mortgage broker, and then now owning her own firm and been trading that directly authorized firm for the last 5 years, building it, what the next 12 months looks like for her. And yeah, I just wanted to get onto podcast. I think it'd be a really good motivational podcast for brokers to listen to, an individual that that gives good value. So before we get Adele onto the podcast, as always, here's Lee with this week's Mortgage Broker Bulletin.
Thank you, Craig, and welcome to the 9th edition of the Mortgage Broker Bulletin. Currently -4 degrees. Anyway, let's get on with it. This week, I just wanted to quickly talk about BDMs. Now, gone are the days when the BDM comes in, you're just praying they give you some pencils and pens, you sign your CPD, and off they go. These people are here to help develop your business. They're a free resource which we can use at all times. So let's make them feel welcome. Let's not be checking our phones every 2 seconds. Let's tell them about our business, tell them about our plans, and then it can help us in the future with their specific products. If you are a BDM watching this, I know you've got pressure on you, but try and take your time with us. Ask us about our business, delve a bit deeper into our future plans. Get to know us personally so we can interact on different levels. And if you're a lender watching this, try to stop putting constraints on the BDM's timeframes, because some of them have mentioned to me they want to do half-hour appointments. It just doesn't work. They walk in, come in, say, oh, what have your business you've done? What's the split? Oh, we can do X, Y, and Z. Doesn't work like that anymore. Things have moved on. Anyway, make the most of your BDMs, and BDMs make the most of us. Have a great week. Onwards, upwards, and forwards. Speak soon.
Thanks for that, Lee. Thanks for, again, taking the time and effort to record this week's Mortgage Broker Bulletin. As I explained before Lee, this week's guest is Adele. So let's just get Adele onto the podcast. So welcome onto the podcast, Adele. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for the opportunity to get you on the podcast. I've seen many podcasts that you've done with some great brokers out there and teams and everything else. So yeah, thanks very much.
No, thank you for agreeing to come on. I know we were sort of having a bit of a chat before the podcast, and it's great to get you finally onto the podcast as well. I think we had a conversation. We were trying to work it out. It's probably about 12, 18 months ago, just in general about business and being a mortgage broker, being a business owner, and everything else. And then I thought at the time, I need to get Adele on the podcast. And then I think everybody probably say the same thing. Where has like this year gone? Like, where's 2023 gone from a business owner and a mortgage broker point of view?
Yeah, it's kind of either running very burnt out, running very fast to not scratching your head, but kind of having the time to do what business owners do, like catch up on the things that they've missed because business volumes, really, isn't it? So yeah, it's just been a bit of a white knuckle ride, shall we say? I think for everybody, I think everyone will agree with that.
I think white knuckle ride's a good way to put it. Definitely. Definitely. Certainly is. So we've literally gone straight into the podcast without even doing your introduction and things like that. So do you want to just give yourself a brief introduction onto the podcast?
Yeah, go on then. So I have been in this industry. I've just posted a poster, I think last week, 25 years in the games. So I've been a mortgage underwriter, so we'll go through that, I'm sure. Starting off as a mortgage underwriter, graduated from HNC, and then kind of went into, I wanted to be a mortgage underwriter because I thought mortgages were going to be sticking around. I was quite good at finance, so that's how I entered. I'm sure I should have a carriage clock, but 25 years ago, that's what you used to get in the banking industry back in the day. So yeah, that's where I started off. I now run West Yorkshire Money. We're directly authorised. 5 years in January. I think I've been trading in the good old Ponte Carlo. So as West Yorkshire money.
The heartlands of West Yorkshire with Ponte Carlo.
The Ponte Carlo and Cas Vegas, I think they say, don't they? So yeah, obviously I've got a bit of a Scouse accent, so I've actually brought up in Wales, but I'm from Chester, really, probably originally. So I moved up here probably about 12 years ago, and then set up. But I've been around the block a bit, for various lenders and various brokers and things like that. So yeah, I've done me round, and now I'm a business owner, fine business owner, which has its pros and cons, as I'm sure every business owner knows. I still write business. I still like that part of the job, and I've not grown as big that I'd want to pass on that at the moment. So who knows? It depends on what regulation goes and how hard it becomes, as I'm sure other people's find.
So going back to, like, you're right. I can remember the good old days, but my background was banking when I've not been in financial services as long as you. So you've got the 25-year badge. I think I'm a couple of years behind you from that point of view.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd have got my, remember that the 25-year service carriage clock kind of situation. I remember that from the banking world. And so nobody's got your sort of carriage clock then. Nobody at West Yorkshire.
No, I think I have to buy my own these days. It's like a Christmas party on your own if you're a one-man band, isn't it? It's fun.
So we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the old days of 25 years in the financial services, in terms of obviously making sure that the reason why I want to get in the podcast is just to talk about, like, you and your background. And obviously, like you say, you've been an underwriter, you've been a mortgage protection broker in other firms, and obviously you set yourself up 5 years ago. Your DA, you said that was rising until you said DA.
So yeah, DAs, we started out, I was an AR of South Yorkshire Money when we first started. It only took 6 months to get your DA status, and obviously you go through various forms. I think if anyone knows that long form from the FCA, it's marvellous. So you kind of go through that, and I think it's a lot harder these days. I believe the interview and things like that. It's not an easy gig to get DA these days, but I have been an AR. I learned my, I suppose, how to be a broker as much as I've been an underwriter. I know how to underwrite, and I know what the lenders look for and everything else, and how to package a case correctly, let's say. But it doesn't gear you up to, I suppose, self-generate, do your leads. Do you know the difference between different mortgage clubs, networks, compliance? Are you doing the job right? Can you feed yourself leads? So I did get very well trained at MAB. And I was there for several years. And then I used to be on the web team, so all the leads used to come into Barnsley. I used to be on the web team. Wasn't very good. I early decided that, as much as I convert and everything else, I struggled with the conversion over the phone, because obviously you have a script and you see all these other brokers that just do the script of the fee agreements and things like that. If you're charging a fee, I could not get my head around that. But there was a lot of rate jockeys where they just want to know, they just want to use, don't want to pay any fee. They just want to use you for your advice and then walk away from you. So it's a long gig trying to go through how many calls you used to go to get a conversion and get someone to buy into you. I learned very early that I think I'm a face-to-face broker. I'm very direct, so, and that fits in well with Yorkshire. And I went to work I started off with one estate agent. I ended up with 5. I ended up getting to the elite of MAB just on protection, because I couldn't sell protection over the phone. Give me face-to-face. I think I banked in my first, sort of started in the August. I first banked decent amount of money. I think it was 25,000. When I first went into estate agents, and the conversion rates went through the roof on protection, where I wasn't very good at first. So I think I was on the elite several times for MAB, to be fair. Where they send down these emails saying these people are really good at conversion, and even GI, I was very good at GI as well, where people, brokers don't see that there's not enough money in it, is there? So they kind of leave it, by the wayside. So, and then I left MAB, and then I went to a directly authorised firm in Liverpool. Now, I used to be their underwriter back in the day before I was qualified, so I knew them there, and I set up them up here in Yorkshire,
Right.
so, but I wasn't face to face, I was just working from home. And I was losing, I suppose, a little bit of revenue for not being face to face, not having the offices. Clients used to come to my front door, in the rain, or put passports through my door, as trusting as people are sometimes, a little bit worrying slightly too. So I kind of thought, well, I think it's time for me to have my own offices, and the logistics of having your own offices and manning phones and everything else, an extra clause into the operation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To make sure someone's there, manning the phones and locking up and things like that. So that came. So I left MEB in 2016, 2017, set up with mortgage experts in Liverpool, but obviously in Yorkshire. Did the BNIs of the world. So I realised that I'm going to have to generate my own business here. After the estate agents have run the 5 of them. How am I going to do that? Well, let's go to BNI. So that's where my client bank, and I wouldn't be anywhere without BNI, as much as some people love it, some people hate it. But, if you've got a good team, a good structure in the local, and I was obviously out not longer in the area, from Chester, this was 2016. So I didn't know that many people in Pontefract. My husband's from Dundee. So, he's out of area as well. So he didn't know that many people to try and get, as an adult, to try and, because you usually have school or work, if you're a one-man band or self-employed, it's quite difficult to make friends and things like that. So that BNI kind of became my little family a little bit. So, and they were very good at giving me a shout out on social media, which is Facebook. Brokers didn't have to do anything on Facebook because the networks used to provide them with leads at that point. So I was banging the drum, doing what everyone else is doing now back that time ago, but having that BNI presence, used to all post me, do me posts or promote me posts, let's say, and I put something like, I've saved X amount of 2,500 over the next whatever years just from remortgaging. Don't be shafted by your mortgage lender. Put it into layman's terms that people understand, because I think everyone, especially after COVID, everyone's kind of realised that you don't have to be suited and booted, and you can still be a professional, but speak the language of your clients, really. And if you've seen a first time buyer, you have to kind of disarm them, that you're not going to grill them for for 5 hours on what their income expenditure, and yes, you can have your haircut, on your recreation, stuff like that. So yeah, and that's where it grew. I grew my client bank, and I was able to leave the BNIs. I'd still do a bit of network. I show my face at Alvin, but I don't have to go, every week to the crack of dawn to a BNI session. So, but as I say, I wouldn't be there without that, and that's what I'd recommend to anyone who's starting out. To do that. It's hard work for the first couple of years, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think, was it always, so when you talked about your history there, from being an underwriter, going through and growing and becoming a broker, and then setting up West Yorkshire Money sort of 5 years ago, was it always part of the plan that you knew you were going to be setting up yourself and having your own firm?
I'd always like to think, but I was happy being a broker, I think, but I mean, whoever you work for, you're paying away commission, aren't you? So you kind of go, oh, I could have earned that, but have I got to give away X amount, So that was obviously, I'm being face to face and having my own offices. I mean, I always set out to be a mortgage underwriter because that's what I wanted to do. I think time came when so I went to various spenders. Then I got headhunted to set up a mortgage lender, and then it all went bumping. I remember everyone. I was actually made redundant in December, Christmas Eve, actually, 2007.
Wow.
And I did a few jobs like May. I couldn't get a job such as I had a few cleaning jobs. I was doing a couple of jobs, different things that I was doing just to keep my head above water, because you can't get in trouble with your credit. So I was out of work actually 18 months, and then I went into arrears counselling. So I used to work for the big firms like your Lloyds banking groups or your mortgage lenders. Used to farm out to individual firms, and I used to go door knocking, to get them into an arrangement, and telling the person to downsize and sell your Porsche and downsize if you can't afford your mortgage, but you'll pay Bright House for your 50-inch plasma on the wall. But then also seeing someone who can't afford to put, £5 in the electricity meter for you to do an income and expenditure with them, it's Christmas Eve, or that the week of Christmas is quite heart-wrenching, humbling, really. So I've seen that way of things as well. I think what made.
Sorry, darling. I'm thinking there, like, what good, like, for you going through that. The only you knows how know how you were feeling on Christmas Eve, being made redundant at the end of 2007, and how you were dealing with that. Like I say, you taking on other jobs, doing what you needed to do to make sure that's like a massive resilience. And I'm thinking that's testament to you. That just shows you the kind of person that you are. That's just, yeah, because a lot of people at that point would just either give in or leave the industry or do something else, however they would deal with that. But you've just shown that the resilience, and like I say, you test the character to you to go. So I already knew you were straight talking and direct anyway, as you've been in every conversation that I've had. But I'm thinking, like, even now, like, wow, I can imagine you just like getting your sleeves all going, right, what am I going to do? How am I going to get on with this? I've got to get through this and got to get on with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was one instance that they sent me to, and I used to have to see whether the house was still standing, and the house had actually been burnt down. The lender didn't know, but it was repossessed and burnt down. So I had to break the news to that. The other thing
Wow.
was that I've been threatened, so, and I was number 2 in the country for figures, because I am quite a straight talking. I have got quite a reputation of don't mess with the devil. But I've got just a great resting bitch face. That's all I'll say. So, but I'm actually quite a nice person. But yeah, that resilience. So I think, I came up here and I thought I can't do that on the streets of Bradford, or I don't know. I knew my area's northwest because obviously that's where I'm from. So I used to have my days where I'd be in Widnes, in Chester, in Wales, in Ellesmere Port on certain days. You have to be very organised. But you'd end up doing a 12-hour shift. You're doing arrears counselling. And then you have to do, 3 knocks, made sure different types of the day, the people, and then you got to the point where some people would just be on first name basis and go, Adele, I've missed my mortgage payment, we're going to have to do another income expenditure, get them into that. I've even saved houses that were due to be they've been evicted that week. I've even, been down, which is obviously for the right clients. You're not trying to dodge something, because there are clients out there, as we know, will give you the spiel and lip service, are actually genuine, and you try and save them, and they're heartbreaking, and they're having to have this conversation with you. It is quite heart-rending, and to be in that position where I've been out of work and I've felt, being on both sides of being, in a very rough position, headhunted to, being out of work and having to claim benefits. I've been on that line as well. I think, so I moved up here and I kind of went to work for a Yorkshire building society, and I was an underwriter there, and I've got many friends there still, and I kind of, for a fraction of the salary that I was on, which is fine, but and then I kind of miscarried, and I kind of said, either if I'm going to do something about being a mortgage broker, I need to do it now, because I was cracking on a bit, So I had a baby when I was 37, so I was cracking on a bit, and I was thinking something's got to change a little bit. So either I'm going to do it now. And then when I went to work for MAB, I got pregnant in 2014. I only just joined in 2013. I had 5 months off, and I kind of, because I'm, in my words, I'm better mortgage advice than I'm a mother, if I'm honest. So especially as you get a bit older, you kind of, shit, I have to bring this kid with me. I'm very independent. I'm not exactly the most maternal people in the world. So yeah, things kind of rapidly changed. There's only you can either make it happen. If you want something, you work hard for it and you go for it, don't you?
Yeah. I think that's you're absolutely right. Only you can make it happen. It's down to you rolling your sleeves up
It's
and
graft,
getting
isn't
on
it?
with
It's
it.
graft, yeah. And I've
Yeah.
always been, a kind of grafter, I suppose. And then, yeah, so everything, because, I've grown the team as well. We did 5. I've also reduced the team because it didn't work out. You know, there's a lot of brokers in there who I think out there who are not supported. You know, whereas they're dangled the carrot by some firms and they're going, yeah, we'll support you, we'll give you all these leads. This is the cut, and actually you realise that 50% is not 50%, it's actually 32%. And then you go, you know, I'm working my arse off here, I'm getting nothing. There's no leads, or the shit leads, you know, or they've been round the block and, you know, they don't answer because there's no commitment off there. Again, then this is where, you know, I don't have any set big introducers. I might pay the odd £100 out, but that's about it.
Right.
Everything's recommended, you know, so it's a warm lead. It's not like you're fighting for, you know, against WH Brown to, you know, up in the estate agent. You know, I've done that kind of, you read the signs, don't you? So, you know, I try to be, but there is a lot of brokers out there, you know, especially with the way the market's been this year. I feel a bit supported. There's a lot of movement, isn't there? With people going employed, people going self-employed. A lot of people coming out of CMAT school not supported.
Yeah.
You know, and business owners either taking advantage of that or not giving the training or support or getting them in. Again, I think a lot of that's down to remote working as well after COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
where I don't know, the brokers just don't want to put their hands up and say, I need help. Or you get on your own, you know, you're self-employed, you want to be self-employed, you know, and if they can't lead generate, they should be really employed if they can't generate their own leads.
Yeah.
That's probably a big thing to say, but
No,
that's what I believe.
fair,
you know, you might need to go and sit in the stage and learn the trade from working your way up.
Exactly. I think that's, like, you're absolutely right. I think it is, if you're self-employed, you've got to be able to self-generate your own lead. That's it. If you've been able to do that, go employed, like you say, build, and you will find that a lot of people come through that transition from being employed into a state agency, mortgage services, and then going self-employed. Everybody sees that as a natural progression and transition. It is good grounding. Like, my background was it like when you were 2007.
Don't think you
My
can walk
background was
before
the
you can
same
run.
thing.
Do you know what I mean? Run before you can walk.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I'd come out, you know, of underwriting and gone and been cocky, right, I know everything, you know, I would have gone self-employed. Well, I did go self-employed straight away, but I went to work with a decent firm who trained me, you know, well, and you know, MAB do train you well. You know, they're very good at compliance and everything else, you know, but you learn the right way, not poorly. And I think some business owners say, you know, can train poorly. You know, you need a decent CRM system, you know, decent, you know, people who are around you who, you know, are good at protection, a bit of everything, rather than let's just be a bit cocky and go, yeah, I can do it all by myself. They can't, you know. And I think this year, you know, all the well-established brokers are doing okay. I wouldn't say, you know, they're doing amazingly, but they're doing okay. You know, they're covering the costs and, you know, we're living an okay life. Whereas, you know, you can just see a marketing how people are scratching around, you know, and what they're putting out there and everything else, because every broker's doing the same, you know. So it's, you know, I think we should be recognised more for what we do, really, because, you know, you have a decent broker, decent solicitor, you know, you've got a decent review, you know, so it's kind of
definitely,
and the testaments on reviews and what you do to get them.
It is. It's
and just being
massive.
ethical as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And I think it is down to like you said, there's a lot of people that are coming into the industry and feeling as though they need the support. Absolutely. And there is plenty of support out there, but there's people that are coming into firms that are, we're going to provide you the support, but is what that support looks like is really from a broker point of view. It's funny, if I was actually talking to a broker today who's fairly new into the industry, and they sort of said, my firm said they were going to be very supportive, but they didn't detail what supportive meant to them. And like, once you drill it down a bit and see what supportive means and what support you need as a newly qualified broker, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. But there is a lot of, as I always say, a lot of over promising and under delivering in terms of from a support point of view, from a firm to the actual broker, whether they're self-employed or employees. Adele, you've answered loads of questions. There's things I wrote down about you've built a team. So I know, like, there's not just you, is there, in terms of West Yorkshire Money? You've got a few people around
So
you
I've got,
working with you.
so I still write. I still write, as as well as my advisor here. And then I've got the administrator who's started as administrator halfway through CMAP. So she's done the CMAP, and she does a bit of power planning to allow me to write and run the business as well. And administration, and obviously learning on the job. And I've kind of employed people who've had no experience. 10 years, in branch in Halifax. I've had people who have come out of no experience whatsoever, and it's not just an administration role. They've got to understand the logistics of a mortgage, and that's not for the faint-hearted either, is it? About the chasing, the initiative. You can't instill initiative in somebody, or ambition, or it helps if you've got a bit of OCD, and you've got to be organised, haven't you? And as well as a team player, it's like, again, juggling plates, even as a case manager or whatever you want to call them. They do a bit of everything to allow the broker to be able to write more business and be supported and to do it efficiently. So, and I've also had brokers that don't like the CRM system because they want to hide, or they want to just want to get paid on something. I've had a few head in hands moments with staff because obviously I don't suffer fools gladly. So as a mortgage, you do the head spinning exorcist thing.
I know, but at least
because I do the job, and there's no getting away from. I've probably heard it all. The excuses that are given and everything else. I write the business. I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And that's I get the answer. And I'll do, if it's easy, I will do my own admin. It is what it is. Just to make it, if it's easy for me to do all as one swoop, that's what I'll do. But I've got a bit of OCD, and it helps. I'm probably ADHD as well, probably. Helps me in the back of the box of frogs, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think the thing is, like, the people in your firm will know, like, will want to be around because you are who you are. Your heart's on your sleeve. There's no hidden agenda, no bullshit, no ulterior motive and things like that. It literally, hey, I did swear. You said you were going to swear before I did. I'm not sure whether you've swore yet, but I beat you to that there. But I think, but so then when you get the right people that fit with you within your firm and how you work, they're gonna absolutely love working in the environment that you're, because there is no bullshit. There's no tiptoeing around or anything like that. It literally is direct.
Oh, you've got to have a
Adele.
laugh. You've got to have a laugh. Even having a conversation, like, mortgages are boring, aren't they? Come on, and trying to educate a first-time buyer who sits in front of me, and I will, reduce, the language that I use and everything else, and they will have a laugh, and that's part of the game. We have a laugh here. I think the awards that West Yorkshire Money have won.
Just drop that in. Just drop the award. I'm gonna ask you about the award, but I'll just drop that in there.
The awards, haven't they? God, even I spam myself. Honestly, it gets on my nerves. So, but we've do. I see it as a bit of a challenge. To be fair, I do see it as a challenge. Let's see if we can win another one. But we wouldn't do it without having a great team. We complement. Me and Emma are very opposite. As much as we're quite same in ethos and the way we think, I've just got a goblet on me where Emma's a bit more quieter, quieter, and a bit more sensitive. And Gina has to deal with both of us in between, going, oh.
You couldn't be very well. If there was two Adeles in West Yorkshire Money, it wouldn't be. No. Yeah, it wouldn't work. Absolutely not.
One would be dead. One would be dead.
Yeah, everybody, the ripples across the country, mortgage broking would hear if there were two Adeles in West Yorkshire Money, I think. No, so it would ripple across the country, definitely not, and not just stay in West Yorkshire.
They just kicked me out of Wales, That's what they did, Craig. They kicked me out.
Well,
I'm not allowed to guess unless I put.
I know you said I was obviously one of my questions was before we started recording was about how come you had to move from Chester to West Yorkshire. What was the restraining order and things like that? But you told me I couldn't talk about that. I should question about that. You just sort of said about that. You're obviously joking. I am joking at that point.
Not far off, no. So I met a chap, and he's got something from another relationship. So it was kind of, I either move up here or it's more difficult for him to move down to me. To be fair, I've often wondered whether if I would have done so well down there that I've done up here, and I don't think I would have, because I'm very direct. He's Scottish as well, so that fits in. I've always had to kind of reduce the way I am down there a little bit. People who know me are fine, but sometimes I can be a bit scary. So because I'm so direct, and I think I'm well placed and I feel at home. First time I felt at home really in Pontefract. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I look. Don't get me wrong. I spent like my son was born in Pontefract. I've lived in
Right,
Wakefield for
yes.
quite a few times. When I worked at Sequence, like countrywide at Connells, they're all the same anyway. But at William H. Brown's, I had broker in Castleford, Pontefract. Really great, amazing. I still
They're
talk
really
to
good people. Yeah, they
they
really
are.
are good people.
And even though Mags, who I worked with, she was a broker in Pontefract, 16 years ago. It was 16 years ago. Even now, I still sort of don't speak very often, but even now I do sort of speak to her now and again just to chat things through.
Same relationship you had back then as well, probably. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they're very local. So they give that out.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm actually going to do it. So I'll have Christmas cards out and I'll write each one of them and I'll go door knocking to every business around here. And I always make it a challenge. So if I go into a business and I kind of drop it in what I do. But it's old-fashioned door knocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So you just dress it up a little bit better. So I'll deliver a Christmas card personally as well.
Do you know what you could have done? Chris Target, you've been on Chris Target's. You've been on Chris Target. You have been on Chris Target. Yeah, I've seen you. Yeah. So Chris Target's was on my podcast a while ago, and he had a great idea about doing a YouTube channel about. So a broker should set up a YouTube channel. He talks about it much better than I do. But basically, you should set up a YouTube channel in Pontefract. Go around
not
look at your face. Look at your face. Go around and interview all the business owners, and then that's good for your branding. And you'd be great on the direct.
It is actually, that's a good idea, channel. Actually.
It is.
So I do a shout out. So every time I go out, I go for a meal or whatever, I'll always tag it because I've got 15,000 followers over that now, probably. And I've done that.
Just drop that bin as well. Just drop that bin. A bit of awards, 50,000 followers. Just keep dropping the bin.
But I'll tag myself in there as West Yorkshire Money, just saying that and give them a review. So I like to give back as well. I think. I mean, one of the things I did during COVID, because I got a bit bored, so I joined another BNI.
And the BNI,
I do like that networking thing because it is nice to chat to new people and different kind of range of people. So I did a BNI, but it was obviously online, and then I did a skydive because I wanted to get out for the day, So yeah, I did a skydive for charity, but obviously it's like asking for business, but nicely, isn't it? Give back something. You raise a load of money. It gets, obviously passed around and supported because you're doing something nice. So that's quite nice as well.
Definitely. And the thing is,
a little bit. I'd like to.
It's your brand, isn't it? It's your face that's behind the brand of West Yorkshire Money. That's the thing. It's not just a faceless brand. You are out locally, supporting local communities, supporting local businesses. And that's the bit that I love. I think that we should just do so much more. As brokers, we should be doing much more help and support with each other about being local and going local.
Yeah. I mean, we've just done 12 days of Christmas for an estate agent that I used to be a part of. But that's a way to get, and obviously I think I increased me page, followers about 350% just on that yesterday. So little things like that you do, and it was donating 50 quid in M&S vouchers, supporting the local community kitchen, so like a soup kitchen kind of thing, doing things like that for the community, and giving something back, isn't it? So we are giving up some time on the 18th to go and bag up and get the pledges from what we've collected from this 12 days of Christmas from the community kitchen. So me and Emma are doing that on the 18th. That's half a day of my time give up. So you can do nice things as well as and people see you doing stuff like that. They're going to want to support the business, aren't they? So hopefully, come for some mortgage at some point.
Definitely. No, absolutely. I think, like I said, things like that. It is important to to give back to local and again, it's just the bit about like that's just showing the your personality with that as well, because you are the simple, smart advice, straight talking, direct how it is. But then there's having that balance. We have been that
Yeah,
kind of person, but then having that balance of the 12, like, because I was on, obviously, I'm going to stalk you before you come onto the podcast, even though we've spoke before and I see your post already. I'm going to stalk you a little bit more detail and thinking, so like the Pontefract Community Kitchen, 12 Days of Christmas, it's just
yeah,
showing you that another side to, and that's the thing is like, it's not just about business promotion, business promotion, business promotion. Yes, it's going to promote your business with that,
yeah.
but it's actually feeling good
Nice
about
experience.
doing something like that as well.
And you can be more part of the community. So I suppose, I'm interested, obviously, because my son, is 9, will, go to high school here, and people know who I am, and stuff like that, just from a local business, knowing what's happened with that building over the road, what's going to be turned, regenerated, what commercial uses on such and such, it's part, I've got a vested interest in it, haven't I? So,
Yeah,
you want it
definitely.
to be positive, and you want to do something nice for the community, as well as obviously, hopefully, be a part of this, Pontefract for some years to come.
Definitely,
Hopefully,
and that's what you want to do. Is you want to be the mortgage broker, the chosen mortgage broker in your local town, village, city, or whatever the case may be. And that's
yeah,
what you are building. This as a long term, and that's the thing, Adele. With it is we clearly can see that you're building this as a long term business. You've been going 5 years. How quick has that 5 years gone?
yeah. Well, I was less grey, less wrinkles, and I didn't have gallstones. Apart from that, I was tickety boo.
Well, we're just going to tick the boxes. I had less great. Yes, I could. I did. I had less wrinkles. Yes, I
I'm a
did.
grimace
Both
more.
gone.
A
I'm
grimace
off that one.
more. I growl at people now.
Yeah, I can't. I
But
can't
yeah,
share the gallstones.
you what? Sorry, I'm my
I
gallstone. I'm
can't
having
share
my
the
gallbladder
gallstones.
out. I just announced I'm having my gallbladder out. So it must be four big gallstones I've got. But that's from stress. And they asked me, "What do you do for a living?" And then he kind of winces when I tell him. So yeah,
I'm a
it's
business
it, it is
owner and
stressful.
a mortgage broker. Yeah, yeah. That's,
Here's my gallstones.
that's why you've got to have that level-headed Emma sat close by you, so you can
I
keep
do,
on that
I
even
do,
keel.
I do. I do, but all is good. Yeah, I do love Yorkshire. To be fair, I feel like an honorary Yorkshire person. Actually, my husband does call me tight, so says you're proper Yorkshire now. Says to Scott,
I'm not even going to comment about a Scotsman saying that somebody from
I know.
Yorkshire. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to start that war. Not even gonna, but at least it's good that you've seen that transition from going from. You've gone the other way. So I'm like born and bred Yorkshire, and then I'm now the other side of the Pennines in the
Yeah,
northwest, and then you've gone the other way, kind of thing. But it's good to sort of. I'm technically still in Yorkshire Dale, so I'm still classed as in Yorkshire, but it's in the northwest. But for you, they say because Pontefract is these sort of types of places are very close knit communities. So once you're in, it's great that you're in. It's getting in there in the first place, but they've
yeah,
obviously welcomed you and you're enjoying it. That's the main thing.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, because I've done years of underwriting, most of those underwriters, and if they're not in the game, will come to me anyway. So I deal nationwide, really. I still do quite a lot of mortgages, Chester way, and things like that.
Right.
People I've been in school with, so that's good, and that, ex bosses and things like that. That's always nice to do their mortgages, or to be asked to do it. They're happy to trust me with that kind of
Yeah,
work for them. So
definitely.
that's nice. Yeah.
Definitely. So we've obviously got this the community kitchen coming up till 12 days of Christmas. What have you started planning for 2024 yet? Are you even worried about that from a business and broking point of view? Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, so it depends what it kind of looks like. I mean, I don't know. Most business owners will have a lot of fixed rates that are out the end of December. We'll have a
Yeah.
lot of fixed rates due out, end of March. So I'm finding a lot of the end of March people are not making decisions till after Christmas, even though they're actually winning because we can secure the rate now, and consumer duty will imply that I've got to check and swap the
Yeah.
rates for everything, which is fine. But a lot of them are just waiting. I had
Right.
about 100. I had over 100 clients come out this year. So I've been pretty busy, with that. I suppose Gina will be hopefully fully trained. I will need another administrator, and then we'll probably try to grow. And I might take a step back with just managing it rather than writing the business. But I can't lie that I'm not looking forward to that. To be fair, because just kind of no, don't go, go. But you're gonna have to keep your hand in, aren't you? So whether I just deal with certain clients, I don't.
There's that
That's
balance.
the pain, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
Pain
that
kind
is
of
the massive.
growing.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
doesn't work. I can see it doesn't work after last year. I think it doesn't work having you. You kind of got to give that time to manage it, to make sure brokers are doing what they say they're going to do. People are supported, things like that.
Definitely.
So that has to happen, and how that happens, I'm not too sure really. But plans, that's my plans for next year. But I don't ever really want to be a massive entity, because I don't think my stress levels will time to for a start. And getting to the final age of life, Craig, where whether you start looking at an exit at some point, so that's obviously on the back of my mind as well.
Do you not think, Adele, because you are such a grafter?
Have you thought about anything like that yourself?
Yeah, no, and that's. I can just see myself working forever. I can't, because I'm a grafter kind of. I think we might have got a bit of a technical glitch on that. Hopefully, sort of pick back up. But I think because somebody asked me, I forget what he was, and I think thought to myself, it's just, yeah, I think I'll be doing this for a long, long time. And there's no sort of, because you are a grafter. I think there's that balance. I think there's certainly that balance.
Yeah.
But I think if you're surrounded by the right people, and it's
Yeah.
your firm and it's that culture and the right culture and things like that, I can just see I'd never want to leave it. Like for you know where your business is. Like for me, on my business, in terms of my mortgage broker business, I've got some amazing, like everybody's amazing within the business. We've got a great culture. We're out on this Christmas do today when this goes out. We're out on this Christmas do round Leeds. So we're going back into Yorkshire. So we're around Leeds. So yeah, so we've got people coming from all over going, but I think so when you're doing something like that, and I like you're very passionate about what you're doing, enjoy doing what you're doing. I love what I do, and I'm very passionate about it. It's just like, even though it's like, well, there's people I know that I'm looking to sell, like they're a similar age to me, and they're going, I'm looking at my exit plan over the next year or two. I'm thinking, I'm like, I love what I'm doing, and I could never not doing it. And I think, because you've grafted for so long.
It'll be a long way off. I look at an exit plan, but I think for me to get to a certain, if I need to grow the team, or if I want to grow the team, I need to kind of either step back at some point or bring someone else in that can help me manage it, really. Because I think it can't happen without that, really. So how I go about that, how I do that, that's definitely probably a topic I need to think about.
Yeah. No, I think, like I say, I agree in terms of, I can see you sort of tiptoeing slowly out of it rather than sort of one-footed and then another foot. I think you'll just sort of gradually and see how you feel. You might do a bit of a tiptoeing back into it as well, and then the tiptoe backwards and forwards.
And maybe someone will come in and work alongside me where I can still advise, but take some of the pressure off the managing and things like that. That would be nice. To be fair, that would be nice. But as I say, who knows what's going to happen? You never know what's around the corner, do you?
No, you don't. You just got to plan for the best events, and you just got to have some plans in place. But like I say, you don't know what's around the corner. Adele, thank you so much. You've answered all my questions, my note taking before. We had no agenda. I got a few notes of questions from stalking you. You answered the questions without even me asking the questions, which I knew that was going to happen anyway. Good luck with the Pontefract Community Kitchen. Make sure that I'll make sure you good luck with all that. And thank you for agreeing to be being on the podcast. Thank you for being very honest and open, and it's been exactly how I expected it to be. Me, normally the 80-20 rule, you'll talk 80% of the time, the host 20. I think probably be more like 90-10, but I've absolutely loved it and it's been great. So thank you so much for your time.
Fair enough. Thanks very much, Craig. Nice to speak to you.
Thanks, Adele, for being a great guest on the podcast. I'm sure you'll agree as listeners and subscribers. Very honest, very open, very direct. She's that as a human being as well as a mortgage broker and business owner. And yeah, I'm really privileged for her to be part of the podcast. So thank you to everyone who has listened and subscribed so far. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Any comments, thoughts, feedback, as always, put them in whichever platform you're listening to or watching this podcast on. And as always, don't forget to run your own race.